What's going on, guys? Matt W Fishing. Just want to get on here and talk to you about Lake Okeechobee. I feel like that's the main reason a lot of you guys click on this channel. Sometimes we travel, sometimes we do some other things, but Lake Okeechobee is my core strength, my core lake. It's my home lake. It's where I fish the most. I feel like I look at it and approach it a little bit different than some people sometimes. So, you know, maybe my viewpoint might help you. Maybe it might be similar to another one that you've heard recently. But Lake Okeechobee in the month of January, I think we're at like January 25th or something. I don't know, 23rd. So we're getting towards the end of January. We're gonna be rolling into February. But I can provide you guys with some February insight as well. So let's get right into it. This has been probably the toughest January that I have fished on the lake in the last 10 years that I've been fishing it. You know, usually we've had somewhere to get away from the dirty water. We've had waves of fish that we can target. And this year it has just been straight up difficult. There's a number of reasons for that. One, it's just been cold. This is the coldest January that I've seen in a long time. And I mean, it gets cold and it warms up, but it has just been, we've just been getting pounded by cold front after cold front. And we've only had small windows of like 2 to maybe, if you're lucky, 5 days of warmth. And then we get another cold front. Lately, it's just been cold and cold and cold. And it seems like every cold front gets followed by another cold front. There's just like hardly any warming spells anymore. And with that comes wind, it comes rain, comes a lot of diversifying conditions that just make it tough on Florida bass. So, you know, I fished the ABA Professional League this year out of, I was out of Scott Driver, and I thought I had a pretty good game plan going into it because it seemed that you could catch a good bag possibly out of the lake, but the problem is it's been so inconsistent that, I mean, you'll catch 4 12-inchers, like your bag will be 4 12-inchers and a 7-pounder. Like that seems to be like the top tier bags lately. They haven't been like a couple 3s and a 5. It's been like 7-pounder, 3-pounder, 2-pounder, and 2 12-inchers. Like that has been what a winning bag or a top 10 bag or even a top 5 bag looks like. So, and that's really inconsistent, and I don't like inconsistencies, but I think my problem in that tournament was I just didn't give myself a chance to even get that big one. And when I say that, in my original game plan, I thought I could catch big ones. I mean, when I say big ones, I mean 4+ pounders, because that's what we're working with right now. I decided to start my tournament in the Kissimmee River. I had ran a guide trip and kind of saved it at the end of the day in the river. A client of mine broke a big one off and then caught a 7-pounder. And I went back out after the trip, and that was with live bait. Went back out after the trip and just threw a Carolina rig with a burner worm on the back and caught some 3.5 pounders. And I'm like, this is cool. This is good. For the lake, this is really good right now. And in the tournament, the problem is with the conditions we had, and I knew it when I put the boat in the water, they were not favorable for the river. I mean, it was kind of like, it was actually darker than this. It was cloudy, really low pressure, really windy. Didn't really mind the wind. It was just the sky conditions. I just felt like it didn't allow those fish to set up on these areas the way they like to. There was a ton of boat pressure on the river that morning before we even launched the boat. I mean, there was crappie boats everywhere, which those don't bother me. There's a lot of fun fishermen. There's people, every spot that you could think about fishing on on the river, which there aren't really that many if you think about it. They're all obvious. I don't really have any non-obvious spots out there, and they were all covered up for the most part. And I went and ran every single one. I gave myself about an hour 30 minutes to fish all these spots, and I never had a single bite. So I pulled the plug, ran into one of the popular canal systems on Okeechobee, and I had fished it with a partner the weekend before in King of the Glades. We got 3rd and 5th with 14 pounds. I think we got 3rd in Bass Busters and 5th in King of the Glades. Maybe I'll have those backwards, but we got 3rd in one, 5th in the other with 14 pounds. And it was basically a 5-pounder, a 3-pounder, and then, you know, some 1s and 2s in the mix. But I thought I could go back to that canal and possibly get 1 or 2 of those big bites. And, you know, I mean, I was honestly hoping I could put together a couple big bites and possibly even win the tournament. And I mean, I was counting on the river and I was counting on the canal kind of working together, and I could just kind of put together a bag. When I left the river, I'm not going to say I was very surprised. I kind of told myself before I launched the boat that morning, because I don't fish up there a lot, that if I leave here without a fish, that I should not even be, it shouldn't be a bead to sweat off my back. And when I left there, it was like, it is what it is. We're going to have to put it all together in the canal. And man, the canal was tough. The eventual winner was coming out of the canal that I was going into. Like right when I was coming in, he was fishing his way out. He really didn't, I don't think he ended up catching any of his big ones in there. I think when I talked to him, he said he had 10 pounds and he went into the lake somewhere and caught a 7 and like a 4 or a 5 or something. And those are the 2 bites that allowed him to win the tournament. And Nick ended up with second with 14 pounds. So, I mean, it was a super tough event. But I went in that canal, I grinded it out. I lost some fish, which is, you know, when you're dragging a worm around, spawners, they're not always gonna get the bait right or get it down deep enough where you can get a good hook in them. Fish got me in some grass, and it just pulled off. And it's just, that's part of it, especially when the water temperature's cold. When it's warm, they grab that bait and they're taking off and they're putting it down. You can usually get a good hook at them. When it's cold and just tough, even those spawning fish that are just sitting there doing their job, grabbing that bait and taking it off the bed, they're still going to do it half-hearted a lot of the times. The small ones always seem to get it. The bigger ones are the ones that seem to give me the most problems when it comes to bedding fish like that. But I ended up with like 9 or 10 pounds. I think, I don't know if I got the last check or I was like the first boat out of a check or something like that. It just wasn't, for my standards, it wasn't a great tournament. I think I finished, I don't know, 12th maybe. I don't even remember. Don't care. I don't even know if I got a check. No, I did not get a check. I think I finished 15th or 16th. Because I was boat number 14, I finished like 16th. It wasn't great. And up to my standards, I was really disappointed. But getting back to the lake and I just figured I'd give you that tournament insight as to, you know, one of the only tournaments I've really fished this year on the lake. I've only fished 2 or 3. And I've had 14 pounds and 9 pounds, and I've cashed for that 14-pound bag, and I did not cash for that 9-pound bag. But I was 1 fish away from a top 10 finish, which is crazy. But it is what it is. That's the state of the lake right now. And you know, I've gone out there and I've seen some things. You know, when you're on a trip and you're on a charter and you have people in the boat, it's you can't always expect them to fish at the same level that you fish. I've been fishing the lake for 10 years. I feel like I'm very competitive, and I've kind of got that killer instinct to do good in a tournament. And you know, when people show up and they just want to go fish for a day, they don't really have that. And some people they don't have the fishing skills to, you know, execute some of these techniques. So, you know, I saw that there was a really good potential for a flipping bite the other day. I caught a couple 3-pounders doing it. I really couldn't get my client to do it. It was out of his realm, which I completely understand. You know, it's Flipping is not the easiest thing. Casting, anybody can cast a bait caster. To put that bait in your hand and to accurately and quietly put it in the grass, it's not that easy if you haven't done it. So we had to kind of shift gears and try and catch fish other ways. And we caught a couple on a chatterbait, but that wasn't the primary deal for that day. Flipping was, and we caught some fish. Wasn't the best day. The water temp did get up to 63 that day, and I saw that there was potential, but it was a tough trip, if that makes sense. It wasn't so much a tough day. It was a little bit of a tough trip. But that's part of it. That's part of guiding. But man, I feel like right now, I don't know what the water temp is. It's honestly not that cold outside. I'm in Port St. Lucie, so I'm directly parallel with Okeechobee City. I am closer to the ocean. Don't have near as much as that farmland, so it is a lot warmer over here. But it hasn't been that cold. At night, it's getting cold, but during the day, it's in that low 60s. Like, it's not brutally cold outside. The rest of Florida is dying right now. But I'm looking at the weather. I'm actually going to pull it up here on my laptop. The weather for the next couple of days, starting today, January the 23rd. Let's see, I actually have it pulled up here. Okeechobee. Where'd it go? Okeechobee weather. And when we're looking at it from a couple days out, any of these weather services work. Like weatherchannel.com works just fine. So today, wow, that's cold. All right, today is, let's see, I don't know what the high is. It's not reading that out to me right now. But tonight's low is going to be 42 degrees. That's pretty cold. Friday, 59, 36. That's pretty cold. Saturday, 68 degrees. And mostly sunny. That's the biggest key. Yes, air temperature is a big key. I don't think the water is going to ever warm past what the air temperature is. But having that sun is the biggest key. I don't care if it's 65 degrees outside and there's no sun. That water temp, it may climb like 0.1 every 30 minutes. Second that sun comes out, it's 0.1 every couple of minutes. It's good. You just see it go ding, 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 ding. It just keeps climbing, climbing. And those small windows of that water temperature climbing, you can't. There's a lot of ways to look at the lake right now. You can look at it from day by day, week by week, or hour by hour. When you're out there, I want you to pay attention to that water temperature. When it's in the morning and it's kind of cloudy, low light, it may be pretty tough. But if you're supposed to have sun that day and that sun comes out and you see that water temperature starting to skyrocket, when I say skyrocket, you start the morning and the water temp's 59 degrees, but by the time you pull the boat off the water, it's 62 or 63. That is a huge temperature swing, temperature change. That's gonna get fish in the area active. So you gotta think, for the area that you're fishing, the water temperature that you have to work with, what's the best that you can do? You can't think, oh, well, in 2 weeks it's going to be 80 degrees and we're going to be catching 30 pounds. You can't think about that. You got to think about what you're doing right there, and right now. So, if you go through an area and the water temp's 59 degrees, you get a couple short bites, if you don't get bit at all, and that water temperature is 62 degrees at like 1 o'clock, you may want to go back through that area, especially if you get that gut feeling like, man, this area has all the right ingredients. I saw a couple things that I really liked. Go back through there, because you might be pleasantly surprised, because that pre-spawn wave of fish with that water temperature warming, they might pull up. They might start pulling up. So, and you got to think of it this way. If you've had 4 bites all day and it's 1 o'clock and you can go through an area and potentially get 2 5+ pound bites, that'll make your whole day, make your whole tournament. So you got to think about that. Looking into Sunday, mostly cloudy, not a huge fan of that, but the air temperature, high of 73, low of 51. That's good. So that way that water temperature is not going to plummet back down overnight. And Saturday it says 48 low, Sunday 51. So I'm guessing it's not going to get below 50 degrees between Saturday and Sunday, which is good. And I think that 48 degree low is coming from Friday. That's not 48 degrees on Saturday night. It's going to be 48 degrees Saturday morning, if that makes sense. So you just got to put the 2 days together and see what the pattern is. Because remember, that low also translates from 12 o'clock in the morning to first thing in the morning. And usually first thing in the morning is when you're going to have the coldest period temperature of the day. So when you go drop your boat in the morning for a tournament or to go fishing, first thing in the morning, that's going to be the coldest it's going to be all day. So just always remember that. Sunday, 73, 51, mostly cloudy. North-northeast, 8 miles an hour. That's good. That's nice. It's chill. It's a very stagnant but slightly warmer day. Monday, 76, 52. Now the temperature's starting to crank up. Now that water temp is going to start breaking that 63 degrees. And once it starts banging on the door of 65 degrees, I'm telling you guys, the lake is going to start opening up big time. I have a trip actually Monday and Tuesday, and they were going to come fish tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And I was just looking at the weather, and they're coming from Illinois. I'm like, man, you don't want to do that. If you can put it off, if you want to come fish the lake and those are the only days you got, we'll make it work. But if you can choose your days, if you can do Monday, Tuesday will be a lot better. And they went ahead and were able to change it to Monday and Tuesday. So I think we're gonna have a great time, because it's been cold for 2 weeks, and that's gonna be that first warming trend, and it's gonna be really close to a new moon. And usually that new moon will put big females up when that full moon gets botched by heavy winds, dirty water, cold front, which we've had all 3 of those ingredients. So I think we're gonna have a great trip. So looking forward, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 78, 79, 79, lows 58, 62, 62. That is freaking golden. I'm telling you guys, new moon, huge warming trend. Listen, I don't even want you to look at the moon that much. The moon is a big deal. It can be a big deal. If the moon correlates with a good warming trend, you're money, because you have every factor possible leaning in your direction. If you got a full moon, but it's 38 degrees at night, are some fish gonna try and pull? Let me ask you this. Do you think a fish is gonna want to pull up when it's 38 degrees? Oh yeah, but it's a full moon. Okay, and? It's like us. Just think about it. If the street lights are off for 2 weeks, and then the one night that the street lights are on in your neighborhood, it's freezing cold. Does that mean you're gonna go walk around the neighborhood at night because the street lights are on? No, not really. I mean, you just gotta think of it in parallels to us. Like, yes, the moon is right, but just think about the last couple of years. Every time you're like, oh, it's gonna be a full moon, and it's a horrible tournament, and it sucks, and it's tough. The full moon's overrated. I'm sorry. If a full moon coincides with a good warming trend, it's gonna be great. If a full moon does not, it's one factor that pretty much becomes factorless. Do I think it puts some more fish shallow overnight and lets them feed overnight? Yes, but that's about it. But last full moon did not have the right conditions. Now new moon I think is on Wednesday or Thursday, and we're gonna have as good of conditions as you can ask for late January. High 70s, 77 to 79. It's gonna be gangbusters, son. It's gonna be lit. And then Friday, Saturday, ABA top 150. I'm fishing that. High of 79, low of 62. Saturday, high of 79, low of 65. They're gonna bite. I think you're going to see the lake show out for the first time in the last, since, I don't know. I know a buddy of mine, Dylan McMillan, had 2 mid-20 bags back in October. That was a totally different deal. That was fishing totally different. In that video I just posted of the ABA 2-day or regional deal, whatever it was, I had 19, or I had 20 and 16, 17. I finished third. I think Brad had 22 and 18, finished second. And old Gary Milicevic had 19 and like almost 32 pounds. That's the last 30-pound bag I've heard of on this lake. In September's a very weird month to where it can be very tough. But if you land on it, you get everything just right. And he lost some fish on day one, talking to him after that tournament. If you land on him right in September, it could be lights out. But at the same time, we had a good October. I would say the fishing was good. Fish were schooling, they were on bait. It was a great time. November sucked. December sucked. January has kind of sucked. But I mean, looking at this, and we're supposed to have these high temperatures as far into as February 6th. I mean, it's just high 70s to 80s. It's gonna be great. I'm telling you right now, you will see the lake show up and fish as good as it has fished in the last 6 months. And that literally starts, I think that starts on Sunday. It's once that water temperature busts 65, 66 degrees, the lake is going to fish different than it's fished. So all you guys counting on your little canals, your little backwater ponds, your little sneaky holes, throw it right in the trash, because lake guys are going to clean you up. It is going to take top 150. I'm going to make my prediction now. It's a little far out. We're over a week out. I think that top 150 is going to take... The lake has been fishing tough, so I do have to factor that in. And it has been fishing tough because it's cold and it's going to be warm, so I understand that. It is a little bit tricky. I think it's going to take 23 to 24 a day to win. I really believe that. It's all, the weather's going to be stable. It's going to be hot. It's just going to set up right. And oh my sweet baby Jesus, it's going to be, we're going to start getting that typical easterly wind starting on Thursday. And then Friday is east, Saturday is east. So you may even see that south end of the lake, which has been sleeping. She's been asleep the last couple of months. She's going to wake up. So, but I think the whole lake is going to play. I think whatever your strength is, you better double down on it. You better figure out how it's going to work for you, because the lake is going to pop. Another big factor that we need to look at is Lake Okeechobee water level. What are we at right now? 1455, and that's actually stalled out a little bit because we've been getting all this freaking rain. It's stalled out the last 3 days, 1456, 1456, 1455. But 1st of January, it was 1512. And right now we're at 14.55. So it has dropped over half a foot in 22 days. And that's with stalls from rains and stuff, which is totally to be expected. If this pattern, if this keeps going the way that it's going, March is going to set up. Just let me take a glance at this. 1455. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Every 3 days it drops 0.1. So yeah, March it's going to be in that low 13s, high 12s. Buddy, Lake Okeechobee is going to be on fire in March. Absolutely on fire. But I mean, 1455 is not that bad. That used to be, when I first started fishing the lake, like the 14 range used to be like the average high water level. Like it would get in the 1455 range, and then, you know, in the summer it would drop down to like almost as low as 11 or 10. And then it started mismanaging the water, letting it get higher, and we started seeing 16, 17s, just super high consistent water levels. And that's what's really done the lake in the last couple of years, the last 5 years really. But if they keep dropping the lake, which I think they will, hopefully, it's gonna have a chance to come back. And it's gonna look really good for the future. You know, let everybody get out there and start scraping bottom, burning off all the dead stuff. The lake will come back, and I'm telling you, that's the good thing about Mother Nature. If you let her do her thing, it will show you what this lake is really all about. But that's way out in the future. We're talking about January, February. February's gonna be good. I think the beginning of February, the water is gonna be in that 14.15-ish range. Maybe, let me see, 23. Yeah, it'll be at 14.10, 14 even to start the year off, and then it's gonna start getting in the 13s. Once we start getting in the 13s consistently, that's when it's gonna be start fishing really good. We start getting in the 13s, start having consistent 70+ degree days. It's gonna be a good time. It really is. But looking forward to the rest of January. Like I said, starting this Sunday and on, it's gonna start getting good. Lake Okeechobee is going to start showing out. If it doesn't, you can come on here and comment and be like, Matt, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're an idiot. You suck at fishing. And I'll be like, you're absolutely right. I am all those things you're calling me, and we'll just move on. But I really think, and like I said, my buddy Cody Davis, Tight Spice Charters, he posted a video of the lake report yesterday. I did not watch it on purpose, because every time I try and go and drop one of these videos, either I'll make one or I'm thinking about making one, then I watch his, and all I can think about is what he said in his report and how similar it is to what I'm trying to say. So I don't want to be sitting here making a video the day after Cody makes a video, or make a video the day before Cody makes a video, and we're saying the same things. You're watching 25 minutes of both of us say the same thing. I didn't watch it on purpose, so hopefully what I'm telling you here is a little bit different than what he told you guys. But I really do think Lake Okeechobee, everyone's down about it. You know, not everyone, participation in tournaments is lower than what I've seen it, and I get it. Fishing sucks. If you want to go out there and spend 8 hours, do you want to be in freezing cold weather, wind, potential rain, and not catching jack diddly crap? No, I don't blame you. But, you know, I like fishing. I like fishing tournaments. I like fishing tournaments no matter what is going on. If it's tough, if it's a grinder, if the weather sucks, if the weather's great, if it's a slugfest, I don't care. Because guess what? At the end of the day, there's one winner. And every tournament's different. All the weather's different. Everything's always different. The moon, everything. But there's only one winner. And the fact that anybody could be that winner, that's what keeps me coming back. Because you know what? Some of these tournaments pay 4, 5, 6. This top 150 is probably going to pay upwards of 13, 14 grand. I want to make that money, and you can't make that money sitting on the couch. But that's just me. That's just how I'm wired. I'm addicted to fishing tournaments. I don't really do much besides fish, so tournaments are my competitive outlet. And let me tell you guys, if you've seen my videos, you know when I get out there, it's 100% focused. It is balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, nose to the grindstone. I'm getting after it. Like my OCD, my ADD, my ADHD, everything's tweaking, everything's chirping, but it's all funneled to right what's in front of me for that day. But guys, Lake Okeechobee, listen, if you don't want to go fish between now and Sunday, I totally get it. It's probably going to be pretty tough. Not to say you can't catch a big fish or a big bag, but it is going to be pretty tough. But starting Sunday, hey, where's my phone's the light right now, so I don't want to take the light away. Pick up the phone, call me. Go to my website, mattwfishing.com. Scroll down a little bit. I got a little guide page. You can find my contact info. You can find all my social media, the links to my Instagram, Facebook, my YouTube, which you're obviously on right now. Look me up on there. Click to request to book a trip. All my rates are on there. Everything you need to know before you book the trip. Everything's all on the website, ready to go. But if you have any questions, feel free to text me and ask me. Call me. I'm right there. And let's get out there. Let's go fishing. Let me show you guys what Lake Okeechobee can really be about. Don't let the last couple months scare you off, because I think the lake is ready to explode. And one more thing before I go. If you guys have ever looked back to the history of this lake, if you see where it fishes really tough, 1, 2, 3 months in a row. I mean, this is obviously the toughest, but here's where I'm going with that. The tougher the lake fishes consecutively, the better it fishes on the back end. So you got to think everything always evens out. There's always going to be a median level of how good the fishing is. So if it's really bad at one point, it's going to be really good at the other point. If it's kind of decent, it's going to be kind of decent for, if it stays decent for a while, then that's what you get. But if it's really tough, you got to think. Lake Okeechobee is 35 by 35 miles wide. And there's a lot of big ones that live out in the middle of that lake that we just can't figure out. You can ask Cody, you can ask anyone who's ever fished the lake forever. Go look at Steve Daniels. He's been posting a bunch of stuff. There's giants that live out in the middle of that lake that we can't figure out. I don't care if you got live scope, hope, whatever you got. A long line with shiners. You can do whatever you want. Those are the toughest fish in the world to find. But they're out there, and they need to go to the bank, they need to go to the grass, and they need to spawn. So imagine all the fish that have not spawned this year because of this cold, because of all this bull crap. And think of what happens when it's time, when they see the heavenly gates of the sun open up and the water temperature starts baking their back. They're going to the bank, and they're coming right for you, and they're coming right for your frog, and you can't be out there throwing that frog if you ain't on a boat with me. So call me, Matt W Fishing. Lake's gonna pop off. I'm over and out. We're done.